The long-term trend is up. Regulation is up. Institutional buying is up. The debasement trade is on.
It's one of the mega trends.
That's the most talked about asset right now.
Bombshell information has just come out. Who is buying? Who is selling? What are they buying? What comes next that most people don't know about? And so much more.
We'll be back up to $250,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2026.
It's hard to believe that crypto has any future at all anymore with sentiment so low right now. That's why we're here. Subscribe to Altcoin Daily. We keep you in tune with everything going on in crypto on a daily basis. Please lightly tap the like button and we'll start here. Slowly but surely, we have been finding out who is actually selling Bitcoin on this dip. It's amazing to see such a big advocate for Bitcoin for such a long time has now sold out his position. Robert Kiyosaki sold, quote, I sold 2.25 million in Bitcoin at approximately 90,000, purchased for 6,000 a coin years ago. With the cash from Bitcoin, I'm purchasing 2 surgery centers and investing in a billboard business. So this Bitcoin went from one legendary investor to another, Grant Cardone coming out as a big Bitcoin bull this year, as we know. He writes, sounds like poor dad to me. Now, this is something that we kept you informed on weeks ago when we brought Grant Cardone on the channel to find out why exactly he's going so hard getting into Bitcoin in 2025.
You want to give me $1 billion in Bitcoin right now? I have 5 seconds to make a decision. $1 billion of Bitcoin or $1 billion of real estate. I'll take the Bitcoin right now. Why? I don't have to do a title. I don't have to do an appraisal. I don't have to do a survey. I don't have to go through the banks. I don't have to get a loan. It doesn't come with termites, tenants, evictions, the government, taxes, bullshit. Yeah, I'd take the Bitcoin in a heartbeat.
And that's the billionaire mindset. That's the billionaire mindset. So check out this interview if you haven't got a chance to yet. And of course, the news to go along with all this, the bombshell news, is that multimillionaires and billionaires are buying more Bitcoin. Tiger 21 founder reveals the ultra wealthy are doubling their crypto exposure. Tiger 21, for those who don't know, it's a giant club with the ultra wealthy. This is people who aren't just wealthy for a year or two. This is 20-year plus wealth. They all have a big club. And the founder just revealed that Bitcoin and crypto is the most talked about asset right now. They're doubling down. Listen.
As I say, crypto coming up a little. That's the one that, even though it's only 2%, that's the most talked about asset right now.
Tiger 21 is a private invite-only networking group for ultra-high net worth individuals, and it releases quarterly reports on where its members are holding their assets. According to the third quarter data, members are putting their cash to work, favoring private equity, and they're also increasing their crypto holdings. Here to talk more about the report, Michael Sonnenfeld, Tiger 21 founder and chairman.
First of all, we have a risk-on portfolio across our 1,700 members, 250 billion. One of the things that's going on is crypto has recently doubled over the last year from about 1% to 2%. That may not seem like a lot, but when you're talking about 250 billion, that's $5 billion of crypto. And in every meeting, people are talking about, is this a new security asset? Will this be a place, a safe haven like gold? And so in our meetings across the globe, people are really comparing notes on, it's not so much crypto, it's mostly Bitcoin, but not exclusively. Obviously, we have some of the great crypto traders, and they go into all the other varieties of digital currency, but Bitcoin is the big kahuna. Crypto coming up a little, that's the one that, even though it's only 2%, that's the most talked about asset right now.
The sellers are getting exhausted for sure, as we're seeing a nice little relief rally today. Who else bought Bitcoin in the low 80K range? Remember guys, for every seller, there's a buyer. And like we show you on a daily basis, there is a new class of buyer for Bitcoin compared to at any other cycle in Bitcoin history. Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan says long-term buyers like Harvard, Abu Dhabi, and major institutions are already accumulating at these levels.
I think it's a sort of a tale of two markets right now. You have short-term investors looking at the market and seeing a lot of risk. The DAT trade unwinding, global risk-off sentiment, some fallout from the October 10th volatility event in crypto. But you're starting to see long-term investors nibble at the asset at these prices. I think it really comes down to your time frame. Could this go a little bit lower? Could it go down to 70K? That's of course possible. But long-term investors like the Harvard Endowment, the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund are looking at this thing and saying the long-term trend is up, regulation is up, institutional buying is up, the debasement trade is on. It really just comes down to your time frame.
Obviously, however, nobody knows until we look back where the exact bottom will be. Is the bottom in at about 79K, or could we fall farther? We always keep things 100% with you on Altcoin Daily, and as we've been saying for a while, there is so much support from last cycle's all-time highs at 70, 75K. So could Bitcoin touch 75K, 70K? That's possible for sure, but over the long term, this asset's going in one direction. But let's continue listening to Matt Hogan. He really helps explain this.
We had this huge move up following the election of Trump, right? And the idea is maybe we retrace all the way back to those prices. When I talk to people in the field, a lot of people are looking at this particular level around 84,000 as a potential bottom. That was where we retraced to in March, what was the last pullback in crypto. Some people are going all the way back to the Trump era election and saying maybe we need to retread that ground before we base and go up. Anytime you have a big bull market move in crypto, and we did from 70 to 125K, you get a lot of new investors into the market. Some of those are diamond hands and they're here forever. Some of them get shaken out when the first volatility occurs. We're seeing that shakeout, but again, I think we're closer to the bottom than we are to the beginning of this pullback. I think it's a great entry point for long-term investors looking out into 2026 and beyond.
A lot of Bitcoin is getting bought on this dip, a lot of quality altcoins like Ethereum, but also like Solana. You know that the Solana ETF that just recently got launched this year is the most successful ETF of the year, with it seeing 18 straight days of positive inflows. And there's really no secret why. BNY Mellon CEO says tokenization is a megatrend. BNY Mellon is one of the largest banks and financial institutions in the world. So when he says something like this, even the CNBC analyst looks at him incredibly skeptically, just how bullish he is on cryptocurrency. Listen for yourself.
Can you go into digital assets and sort of this trend toward tokenization and how that plays into the business model a bit?
Yeah, sure, Carl. It's a really important trend. It's one of the mega trends. We identified a series of mega trends about a year ago, and we said we want to position our business, invest in those capabilities that will allow us to benefit from those mega trends. Because while we want to drive and are driving organic growth, we also want to make sure that we're attaching ourselves to these big market cycles, and digital assets is one of them. Now, that's not just stable coins, it's also tokenization, and it really is across the ecosystem. So we've been investing around the ecosystem for using our traditional assets and then evolving our traditional business assets to be able to be on-chain as well.
Because the fundamentals that we've gone over so often over the last 6-9 months are still very much fundamental bullish catalysts, tailwinds today, but also looking forward, looking ahead, there's a lot, even more reasons to be bullish, including regulation-wise. For instance, breaking news, Representative Warren Davidson just introduced the Bitcoin for America Act to Congress. This will codify the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Executive Order and improve USA custody. 2, allow taxes to be paid in Bitcoin with no capital gains tax. 3, all Bitcoin paid will be held for 20 years minimum. So understand, this is something else that hardly anybody knows about, hardly anybody talks about, that is getting pushed through to Congress for the future. We know the Market Structure Bill Clarity Act will be the first thing that happens, extremely bullish, but then after that, this is what they're focusing on.
Yeah, today I'm announcing that we're introducing the Bitcoin for America Act, and this deals with codifying the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Executive Order and, frankly, eliminating capital gains tax if you want to pay your taxes with Bitcoin. Now, a lot of hold on for dear lifers are going to, why would I part with my Bitcoin? I understand the concern. You don't have to, but you can. And this would be in line with what the administration's already said they want to build as a strategic Bitcoin reserve. You could do this in a deficit neutral way where people who already have Bitcoin could pay taxes with their Bitcoin. And frankly, people could say, you know what, I just want to pay my taxes in Bitcoin. So you could convert US dollars to Bitcoin and send your tax payments into the Treasury. And then your tax payments would go into the Treasury. If you're concerned about, say, well, I don't want my money going to foreign aid. Well, put it in the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. It won't be spent at all. I don't want my money going to XYZ. just pay in Bitcoin. It'll stay in the treasury.
Wow, this is fascinating. And would this be available both for individuals and also corporate taxpayers?
That's the goal.
Again, guys, this is a dip worth buying. There's plenty of future in crypto. And if you really want to understand why cryptocurrency is the future, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you watch any of our videos going forward, and certainly any of our videos from the past 6 months. If you're a crypto trader, if you've been shorting, you've been winning, you can trade crypto and make more money. I have a hodl position, I have a trading position, and right now, this is a really good deal. 50% deposit bonus on anything above $100. 50% deposit bonus plus an additional 30,000 additional rewards. Create an account on crypto exchange Wex. They're one of the best cryptocurrency exchanges of 2025. This is a good deal. If you're a cryptocurrency trader, take advantage of this. Now, originally, Charles Hoskinson was predicting a 200K, 250K Bitcoin by the end of 2025. He has just updated his perspective for end of 2026. And he says kind of what I've been saying in this video, that the fundamentals of the past year are the same, plus so much more in the future. Yes, there's uncertainty right now. There's a dip worth buying, but there's really no reason to think that Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, quality cryptocurrency assets won't trend up. Listen to him say it, listen to the pushback, and listen to the response.
Oh, well, the markets go up and down, and crypto's not immune to the macro. We're still dealing with issues from the tariffs. We're still dealing with a great degree of economic uncertainty. Just this year was a little lackluster, but overall, I'm still very optimistic in the next 12 months. I think we'll clear most of this downside the next 2 quarters, and we'll be back up to $250,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2026.
Okay, so 2 quarters you think it's going to take. But the reality, if you look at some of the technicals here, the many watchers are saying, look, if you look at the time that has taken since the last halving event of Bitcoin that occurred April 2024, this is typically what you see 400 to 600 days after. So more of a technical factor here. But I would say this time is a little bit different in the sense that we've had a whole bunch of ETFs that have been launched. Institutionals have come into this space. We've got an administration in the United States that is crypto friendly. Does that make a difference to any downscale that we could see here that typically could last a lot longer if it were not those factors in the backdrop?
Well, I mean, it's a very different kind of bull market than the last 3 times that we had the 4-year cycle. I mean, the last 3 times it was retail-led, most notably in 2021, where everything reached an all-time high. But this time around, you have BlackRock and Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and the U.S. government, all others coming in. And really, there's a big transition where a lot of assets that are in the crypto space are real world assets. I mean, if you take a look at the growth of verticals like stable coins, for example, we're over 250 billion issued, and it's going to be over $1 trillion by 2030. And it's kind of a soft dollarization of the developing world. And there's a lot of estimates that by 2030 to 2035, there's going to be about $10 trillion worth of equities and other assets, traditional assets in the cryptocurrency space. So when you have large institutions, nation states like the United States, and a huge growth of the user base from about 550 million to 1 billion, the fundamentals are just sound. There's no way for these markets to stay depressed forever. They're just reflecting the current macro environment.
So subscribe to our channel, like the video if you got value today, and make sure you subscribe because we have a lot of great content coming out this week and next. This is certainly the time you want to be doubling down on your interest and enthusiasm and investments into crypto. In my humble opinion, that's what I'm doing. Hey, subscribe to our channel. We keep you informed. See you tomorrow.